मैं हेमंत सर, आपका साइंस टीचर। तो आज हम स्टार्ट करने वाले हैं एनसीईआरटी क्लास 8 का 4th चैप्टर, जिसका नाम है मेटल्स एंड नॉन मेटल्स। सो मेटल्स एंड नॉन मेटल्स क्या होते हैं, हम पहले ये समझ लेते हैं, है ना। सो मेटल्स समझने के पहले हम ये देख लेते हैं कि एक्चुअल में एटम्स क्या होते हैं, है ना। तो एटम हमारे यूनिवर्स का ऐसा छोटा से छोटा पार्टिकल जिसको हम और भी छोटे पार्ट में डिवाइड नहीं कर सकते, ऐसे छोटे से छोटे पार्टिकल्स को हम बोलते हैं एटम। सो इफ वी वांट टू डिफाइन द एटम, इट इज द स्मॉलेस्ट पार्टिकल ऑफ यूनिवर्स, the smallest particle of universe which cannot be divided further is nothing but atom. So atom को हमने और भी फर्दर पार्ट्स में डिवाइड किया है. So atom, that means our elements, and they are metals, non-metals and metalloids. सो मेटल, नॉन मेटल और मेटलॉइड्स क्या होते हैं हम देख लेते हैं, बट आपके सिलेबस में यू हैव ओनली मेटल्स एंड नॉन मेटल्स. सो अब एटम है तो एटम का सेंटर होगा. अब सेंटर में हमको पता है एटम का सेंटर को हम बोलते हैं न्यूक्लियस. The center of atom is called as nucleus, and in nucleus proton and neutrons are present. Protons are positively charged species and neutrons are zero charged species. They are present at the center of atom called nucleus. And negatively charged particles called electrons, they revolve continuously around the nucleus in a fixed path called orbits. Orbits, or you can say shells also. So these negatively charged particles are called as electrons. These negatively charged particles are called as electrons. After that, we have to understand what is octet rule. To understand the metal and non-metal, we have to understand the octet rule. The octet rule states that, see, octet, here the word OCT is used. It is oct, which means 8, and octet rule says if any atom or element have 8 electrons in their outermost shell, if any element have 8 electrons in their outermost shell, then we will say that atom is stable. That means to acquire stability, every element must have 8 electrons in their outermost shell. It is the statement of octet rule. That means, suppose we will take example of neon. Neon is the element at the place of 10th. That means it is the 10th number of element we have in our periodic table. That means out of 10 electron, 2 electron will be present on first shell. 2 electron will present on first shell, and the remaining 8 electrons are present in next shell. That means this shell is outermost shell for neon. That means neon contain 8 electron in its outermost shell. That means neon is stable element. Neon is stable element. But if we will take example of fluorine, fluorine have 9 electron in its elementary form. That means in first cell fluorine will contain 2 electron, and in next cell fluorine will contain 7 electron. But octet rule says every element must have 8 electron in their outermost shell, but fluorine have 1 less electron in its outermost shell to acquire stability. That means there are two possibilities. Fluorine will donate all 7 electrons to other elements, or will accept 1 electron by other elements. So what will be easy for fluorine? to lose 7 electron or to take 1 electron? So it is easy to gain 1 electron for fluorine. That means fluorine will accept electron. If fluorine will accept 1 electron, fluorine contain only 9. 9 plus 1 will be 10. So fluorine contain 10 electron, in which it will be negative. Negative charge is acquired over fluorine. That means fluorine is gaining 1 electron. So such elements which gains electron and form negative ions or negative charge, then we will say these are nonmetals. These are nonmetals. If we will take example of sodium. Sodium contain 11 electron in its orbit. Out of 11 electron, 2 electron will be on its first orbit. Then in next orbit, sodium will contain 8 electron and 1 electron will be in its outermost shell. So octet rule says element must have 8 electron in their outermost shell, but sodium contain only 1 electron in its outermost shell. That means there are two possibilities. Sodium may accept 7 electron to acquire stability, or will donate 1 electron to acquire stability. So what will be easiest way for sodium to acquire stability? Sodium will lose 1 electron. If sodium will lose 1 electron, then sodium having 11 electron, if it will lose 1 electron, that means sodium contain 10 electron in its atomic form, and sodium will acquire positive charge. That means if species or element loses electron, they are metals. If element loses electron and forms positive ion, that means they are metals. So what is metal and non-metal? Basically, metals are the element which have tendency to lose electron are called as metals. So we can write definition here. What are metals? Elements having tendency to lose electron are called as metal. But what are non-metals? Non-metals are element having tendency to gain electron. To gain electrons are called as non-metals. So I think you have understood what are metals and non-metals. What are metals? Metals are the element having tendency to lose electron, and those they will lose electron will form positive ion. And what are non-metals? Elements having tendency to gain electron, and those they will gain electron will form negative ions. Such elements are called as non-metals. If we will write example here, so sodium we have taken example here is metal, potassium is metal, magnesium is metal, aluminum is metal. And what are non-metals? Like oxygen, we have fluorine, we have nitrogen, we have sulfur, all are non-metals. So now we will understand the properties of metals. Metals, we will focus on the first property, which is luster. Luster means shine. In Hindi, it is chamak. The first property of metal is luster, that means shine. Metals have shine at their pure state. That means if metals are 100% pure, they shines. Next property, metals are ductile. Ductile means it is the property of metals in which metals can be drawn into thin wire. If you will see the copper wire at your home, The copper wires, they are very thin and they are very long. That means a metals can be drawn into thin wire. This property of metal is called as ductility, or we can say ductile. Next property, ductile means metal can drawn into thin wire. And gold. Gold is the most ductile element present on earth. Next property of metal is malleability. Malleability means if continuous hammering on metal can be converted into thin sheet. If metal can be converted into thin sheet by hammering, then this property of metal is called as malleability. That means metals can be converted into a thin sheet. That is malleability. So we can write over here, malleability means the property of metal in which metals can be converted into thin sheet. This property of metal is called as malleability. Next property is conductivity. See, we have seen here metals are drawn into thin wire and we are using copper wiring at our home. That means metals are used to transfer current or charge from one place to another place. That means from the point of origin to the point of use. That means the household wire we are using at our home, they are made up of metals. That means by metals, charge particles can transfer from one place to another place. That means metals are good conductor of electricity as well as heat. Metals are good conductors of heat as well as electricity. Next property of metal is alloy forming. So what are alloy? Alloy are the homogeneous mixture of two or more metals or maybe metal along with non-metals. That means if we will take an example of brass. Brass contain two different metals. In stainless steel, there is iron as well as carbon. That means we are using most of the alloys at our home or maybe in our daily life. All these are alloys of metal along with other metals or metal along with non-metals. So we have seen here, these are the properties, physical properties of metals, that is luster, ductility, malleability, conductivity and alloy formation. The next property of metal is sonorous. Sonorous means the metals produces sound when striking with a hard surface. Like in your school, आपके स्कूल में जो बेल है, जब प्यून उसको स्ट्राइक करता है ना, उस समय आवाज प्रोड्यूस होती है, that you can hear properly. That means this property is called as sonorous. Next property is hardness. Next property is hardness. Generally, metals are very hard and have very high melting and boiling point. But there are two exceptions metal, and what are they? They are potassium and sodium. They are the soft metal that you can cut with knife also. इतने सॉफ्ट होती है कि आप घर के नाइफ से भी इजीली कट कर सकते हो. दैट मीन्स सोडियम एंड potassium are the exception of hardness, or generally all the metals are very hard. Now we will understand the physical properties of non-metal. First property is luster. Generally, non-metals are non-lustrous except diamond. We know diamond is an allotrope of carbon and which is made up of a non-metal. That means it have luster but it is non-metal. So generally non-metals are non-lustrous except diamond. Next property is hardness. Non-metals are generally soft except diamond because diamond is the hardest substance on earth. That means all the non-metals are not hard except diamond. Next property is conductivity. Conductivity of electricity. Generally, non-metals are not conductor of electricity. That means they are non-conductor, but one exception is there, that is graphite. Graphite is again another allotrope of carbon which is good conductor of electricity. And diamond is a bad conductor of electricity but good conductor of heat. You have to remember that diamond is an exception. It is a good conductor of heat and bad conductor of electricity. Next property of non-metal is non-metals are neither malleable nor ductile. So no malleability, no ductility, so these are the properties of non-metals. What are they? They are non-lustrous. Non-lustrous means they appears dull except diamond. They are not hard except diamond. They are not good conductor of heat as well as electricity except graphite is a good conductor of electricity and diamond is good conductor of heat. They are non-malleable, non-ductile and non-sonorous. Non-sonorous. So here we have completed the physical properties of metals and non-metals. So we will learn next part of this chapter in our next video. So तब तक के लिए thank you.